Welcome everyone to episode 63 of the Chris Perish podcast. My name is Chris Perish. I have missed you. It's been a little too long since we've done this. 2 weeks. I know it's been 2 weeks, but I missed every single one of you. I miss Bobby Benito. Good afternoon and happy official birthday from a streaming end of things. How was your birthday? I hope you had an amazing time. I'm sure you spent it with your girlfriend and your family, but happy birthday. Hope you got spoiled. First off, we gotta do a little bit of that beautiful housekeeping. Why? Because everybody loves that clean house. We gotta thank our sponsors. That's right. If you look to the side of me, this one that's by my hand, that's moving right here, you will see Turnbuckle Studios. You'll see the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program. And if you want to check out more information about the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program, make sure you go to affiliationprogram.my.canva.site for your introduction, your hello to podcasting, and you can get more information about how you can start having your own show. How can you work with the Turnbuckle Studios family? How you can become a member of the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program. So yeah, for more information, go check that out. It's been a refreshed link, so go check out affiliationprogram.my.canva.site. We also have beercadewhyte, the proud official paying sponsor of the Chris Perish podcast. That is right. Beercade, located locally in Edmonton, Alberta at 10544 82nd Avenue. You can check them out at beercadewhyte on Facebook, beercadewhyte on X, and beercadewhyte on Instagram. That is right. You could have gone there for the Royal Rumble, where if you were there, you would have had a chance to win a live prize from the Royal Rumble. That is right. Beercade and I came together, and he said, "Hey, Chris, you're going to the Royal Rumble, correct?" I was like, "Yeah, that I am." They're like, "Why don't we do something a little bit different?" I was like, "You know what? I have just the thing. How about we come together and I get something from the event and we give it to a lucky fan who's watching the Royal Rumble live at location." And they said, "That is a fantastic idea." So if you are that lucky winner and you're going to be there for any one of the days of WrestleMania, make sure that you're there, because we will make sure that you get that prize. Then I also want to shout out Rogue Energy. If you want to use the promo code PERISH, PERISH, right at rogueenergy.com, you can save 10% of your order. And that is a little bit of all right. Bobby says he turned 24 and we went to the bowling alley. That is awesome. Did you get a turkey, Bobby? If you know, you know. It's actually not that secretive. 3 strikes in a row is a turkey. It's a very funny phrase. Yeah. But did you get one? That is what the people want to know, Bobby. Did you get a turkey? He said he did. Gobble, gobble, Bobby. Gobble, gobble. Now, you might have heard, Chris, you went to the Royal Rumble. I see that, zip-up hoodie that you have on. Yeah, and I want to talk a little bit about the Royal Rumble because, yes, it was only just 8 days ago, but what an event that was. Everyone, we saw the Yeeter of Worlds, Jey Uso, do the unthinkable and punch his ticket to WrestleMania. We saw the Queen Charlotte Flair come back and do the same, and she won the Royal Rumble. And then we saw in a hellacious, violent ladder match, Cody Rhodes retaining against Kevin Owens. And then in 2 out of 3 falls, we saw DIY retain their tag team championships against the Motor City Machine Guns. This is already stuff we know. But I'm sure everyone wants to know, what was it like? And guess what? It was absolutely fantastic. The aura of over 70,000 people was absolutely crazy. If you watched the pre-show, that panel was right in front of the section where we were sitting. So if we wanted to go to the bathroom, if we wanted to go to, the concession stands or do anything, we'd have to pass that lineup of people. So I turned to my buddy and I even said, I'm like, I think I'm going to risk fate here and I'm going to try to get through this. The event hadn't started yet, so we're going in. I'm just trying to go get a drink. There is a sea of people. So I say, you know what? We're in Indy. Let's go big. I'm going to go cruising through all these people. I'm going to see what the big fuss is. I get to the front of the line, and Bubba Ray Dudley is taking selfies with everyone. I managed to squeak out a selfie with Bubba Ray Dudley. I put that on Instagram, and it was pretty cool. He was super nice. In fact, here's a little good backstory. I had forgot to put it in selfie mode, so I put the camera on, and I'm filming everyone else only for me to realize this. So I hit the button. I said, I guess I got to learn how to work as I take that photo. It was pretty funny. It was quite amusing. I know he had a good laugh. He said, next time, kid, and hit me on the back. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, also just a fantastic human being, Bubba Ray Dudley. So again, thank you for that. Bobby coming in saying we saw a TNA wrestler, Joe Hendry, in the men's Royal Rumble. We sure did, and I will tell you, he was easily one of the top 5 pops of the night. I do give it to Alexa Bliss. I think that one was absolutely deafening loud. I heard about it prior to the event. My friend who I went with did not want to know anything. I, on the other hand, I'm too curious not to. But to me, the magic is the moment and still seeing the moment. I can still appreciate the moment, even though I know it's about to happen. So I didn't tell him. I wanted to see his genuine reaction. And I will tell you, when Alexa Bliss's music hit, that place went crazy. And it was, I know the women's Royal Rumble was the first match of the night, but I even said, I'm like, this is going to be hard to beat. And then Joe Hendry came out, and I don't think he beat it, but he was very close. And let's just say that it was pretty surreal to see Joe Hendry and the TNA Heavyweight Championship inside a Royal Rumble match. We've seen it 2 times before with the women, starting with Mickie James and then last year with Jordynne Grace. But that was still pretty cool to see. And then if you're like, well, what were the other 3? I mean, AJ Styles, of course. Not just AJ Styles, but like I know even last year at the Rumble, AJ Styles used the same theme, but he had changed it within that year. So the single fact that he went back to it for his return, in a side little note on a WWE behind the scenes of the Royal Rumble, he said he wore the exact same gear from his initial debut, which I thought was a really cool little throwback. So I thought that was pretty cool to just hear. But also, AJ, I think I speak for everyone to say, and we'll talk about this topic a little later. You don't need to change your theme. What you have is pretty good. It's really good. So just hold on to it. Yeah, and then business really picked up when Roman Reigns entered. That place is very much acknowledging the OTC like you would not believe. To the point where I think, and I rewatched it on TV, or just not Netflix here in Canada. And when Roman Reigns threw out Joe Hendry, there was people who weren't happy about it, or they're like, oh, come on. But because it was Roman Reigns, I think it was okay. This is one step closer for the OTC. So I think that's kind of the way it was. If Joe Hendry was a top personal favorite for a lot of people, he was slightly under Roman Reigns. That's how it felt live in the crowd. So yeah, I had Alexa Bliss, I had Joe Hendry, then we have AJ Styles and Roman Reigns, and I'm capping it off with Jordynne Grace. It was pretty wild to see that. I think a lot of people knew Jordynne Grace was going to be in the Women's Royal Rumble. I think a lot of people knew she had signed with WWE. But I think a lot of people were surprised to see that she used the same presentation that she used in TNA. She used the same music. She used the same shirt on. It wasn't anything different. And I think that's something that was really cool about the whole idea. Chris Best coming in saying we couldn't stay mad at Roman for eliminating Joe Hendry. I mean, I think we all knew he wasn't going to win. I think it was just the moment itself that was the big deal. Bobby coming in, what brand do I think Jordynne Grace will be on? Well, first off, I think she's going to do some stuff in NXT. And then I think she's going to probably go to Raw. I have a feeling post-WrestleMania, she's going to end up on the Raw side. And I think an eventual match with either Rhea Ripley or Charlotte Flair down the line could be big. I think a meeting between her and Jade Cargill at some point will be good. Jordynne Grace and Bayley is going to be absolutely amazing. Someone that I'm really looking forward to seeing is somebody who she had her oh my god moment against, and that is Piper Niven. She picked up Piper Niven, and as soon as she did, everyone stood up in saying, oh my god, she hit that Death Valley driver, and I will tell you, that place was like, oh my god, this is a star. And I think a lot of people are going to be easily impressed when they see Jordynne Grace inside the WWE. So patience, but she's going to be on the main roster at one point. I hate calling it the main roster, but that is what it is. But she's going to be on one of those. I think it's going to be Raw, but I do see her going up against, as Bobby Benito coming in saying, Julia at some point. I do think her and Zarya Delta, I think that is a match that needs to happen at some point in NXT as well. So yeah, it's gonna be fun to watch. Second off, I just want to let everybody know, the ones that are here in chat, I appreciate you. You know this. But if you're new to the channel, please make sure that you're hitting that thumbs up button on YouTube. You're hitting that notification bell button. You're liking the video. You're hitting share if you see it on Facebook. You're subscribing. You're following. You're doing what you can to help support the Chris Perish podcast, because the more you do, the larger we can grow, the more audiences we get to. But please, above all that, engage. Be active in the chat. If you have an opportunity to say a comment, if you have the want to just say hi, or even saying, I hope you're doing okay, please do. I appreciate it. I want to hear from every single one of you, because that is the whole point of this. It's just bringing people together. So yes, let's just have a good time. The Chris Perish podcast isn't about information. It's about people coming together and just enjoying a good debate of pro wrestling or anything that's really the topic. It's just mainly wrestling. Side note, Super Bowl today. Who do people have? I sadly have the Kansas City Chiefs making the three-peat. I think we're going to see a lot of Taylor Swift on our televisions. Therefore, I think a lot of alcohol will be drank. Thank you, Bobby. I appreciate it. Now, a lot of controversy came out of the Royal Rumble. A lot of people didn't like Charlotte Flair winning. Not a lot of people were in the same mindset of Drew McIntyre when he was eliminated by Damian Priest. They figured, why did that look weird? In fact, a lot of stuff came out online. That Drew McIntyre was not happy. He stormed out of the building because people needed just to get their stuff in. Now, when there's smoke, there's fire. I'm not one to tell you that everything you read is true because I know everything you read is not true. Now, there's going to be parts of these stories that are probably factual. A lot of them probably blown out of proportion. We clearly saw Drew McIntyre and LA Knight work just fine with each other on SmackDown. And yeah, do I want to see something between these two moving forward? I think there's something there. I know there was a plan that Drew McIntyre, who's now on SmackDown, was, pegged to work with Damian Priest, which I still would like to see that at some point. However, Drew McIntyre versus LA Knight right now, that has steam. That has that burning wick. So let's start that fire. But yeah, Charlotte Flair winning the Women's Royal Rumble. A lot of people up in arms. I had Io Sky, but as soon as I saw that she drew number one, let's just say my head just went. That's right. It was almost instant that I knew she was not going to win the Royal Rumble match, but I still loved what she did in that Rumble. Absolutely killed it. We saw a lot of people absolutely kill it here, but I thought Charlotte Flair killed it when she was in there. I didn't see a single thing that I was like, you know what? I'm not happy about this. In fact, I really like this. I know a lot of people don't like Charlotte Flair winning the Rumble. They wanted to see somebody else, and I get that. I respect that, and you're entitled to thinking that. But I'm going to list you some reasons why I actually do think this is the right move, because with everything else that we did get in Jey Uso winning, something completely out of left field, somebody who is white hot, and we still didn't peg as a top act. Now he is there. Now we're seeing that creation of a new star. We'll get to that. But Charlotte Flair, first ever woman to win 2 Royal Rumbles. First off, congratulations. You deserve it. But why do I like this idea? And why do I think it was the right idea? Because I think a lot of us wanted to see Charlotte versus Tiffany Stratton at WrestleMania. And there has to be a way to get there. Now, the argument is, well, did you have to do it with the Royal Rumble? No, you don't have to do it with any specific thing, but you can do it with the Royal Rumble. And I think this is such a great thing. I think the genuine reactions of Charlotte Flair, whether it was on Raw this past Monday, whether it was on NXT this past Tuesday, or whether it was on SmackDown this past Friday, we saw a lot of mixed reactions with Charlotte Flair. Sometimes we saw reactions that were one-sided, whether it was we prefer to boo Charlotte, and then there's some people that prefer just to cheer Charlotte, because that's the beauty of wrestling. Everyone has a different taste, and it's great. Bobby coming in saying Damian Priest is going to do a lot of great things on SmackDown. I agree. Bobby saying it was nice to see Trish Stratus and Nikki Bella back in the ring, and seeing Lash Legend and Stephanie McMahon debut in the Royal Rumble match. Don't forget Julia. Don't forget Jada Parker. And shout out to Roxanne Perez for being the Iron Woman. Um, but what I like about this is we had started seeing Tiffany Stratton kind of show signs of becoming a babyface. We see Charlotte being okay to embrace the boo. She even said on SmackDown, when you guys boo, you know what I see? I see money. Yeah, that now you're just going to boo her more. She's going to revel in it. It's a natural heel maneuver. Based on association, you're going to start taking to Tiffany Stratton a little bit more. That's going to build and build and build all the way to WrestleMania, to the point when that match eventually does happen. Now you just want to see Tiffany Stratton beat Charlotte Flair, not just beat her and get the win. You want to see her beat her up. You want to see that statement win. It reminds you of a lot of Becky Lynch, to the point where Becky Lynch did a heel move. She attacked Charlotte, and the people cheered because they were just tired of Charlotte. They wanted somebody else. It's a little reminiscent of that, because not right now you do have somebody else, but you have Charlotte again. And now that story is a lot of the fans don't want to go back to Charlotte. So we want to keep it with Tiffany Stratton. And I think that's something that we're going to expect to see. We're going to expect a slow appreciation of the situation, but we're going to see a rise in Tiffany Stratton's popularity. And we're going to see a lot of people getting behind Tiffany Stratton when Charlotte Flair, in my opinion, chooses Tiffany Stratton for WrestleMania. Now, no official word has been yet. She very well could choose Rhea Ripley or Julia. Hell, she can go to TNA. I don't know. Anything's possible now. And then when you get to WrestleMania, that billboard's going to read Charlotte Flair versus, in my eyes, Tiffany Stratton. And I'm going to say Tiffany Stratton. Just by word association, now the word Stratton is attached to the word Flair. And just on that, a lot of people are going to see Flair and Stratton. A lot of people that are older are going to attach themselves of, hey, that's Ric Flair's daughter. And if she is multi-time women's champion, just like her father was multi-time men's champion, she must be pretty good. And you must be pretty good to be facing her at WrestleMania. Now, a lot of people are probably saying, I don't think that. That's fine. But I can tell you, there's a lot of people that do. Another reason why I like this is because it slowly builds Charlotte as a top villain on SmackDown, which then allows her to go up against future opponents, whether it's somebody like a Jade Cargill when she comes back. Remember, they've teased this years ago, a couple years ago, when Jade first signed. So over a year ago, I guess. But about 18 months, we'll say. And they foreshadowed this meet. When Jade Cargill does come back, obviously she's going to have a story with whoever attacked her. And if that's not Charlotte, then there's Charlotte. But what if it was Charlotte? What if Jade Cargill was attacked by Charlotte? What if Jade Cargill was attacked by Charlotte with an accomplice? Just like Stone Cold was attacked by, say, Rikishi, who had an accomplice in Triple H. What, maybe even Charlotte was the accomplice. Who knows? But I guarantee that at some point in 2025, maybe in SummerSlam, maybe later, maybe before, we will see Jade Cargill and Charlotte in some capacity. And people are going to really, really get behind Jade Cargill. Also, I think whoever Charlotte does face, the fans are going to accept the opponent that much more. And because of that, that is a great position for somebody like a Tiffany Stratton who's not yet completely there yet as being a top babyface, a top hero on the SmackDown brand. So I think in that whole nutshell, this is a great thing for Tiffany Stratton if Charlotte does choose her, because if she just is not just aggressive in this run, but also if she doesn't back down from Charlotte, she stands to benefit largely from this. You see, if you saw the promo with her, or the segment with her and Rhea on Raw, Charlotte and Rhea, that is, you saw Rhea kind of explain the difference between the two times they faced at WrestleMania. We've seen where Rhea was and now where she is, and I believe Tiffany Stratton can do something very similar. So I have all the time in the world for this because I know long picture is Tiffany Stratton will stand to benefit. And I think past WrestleMania 41, Tiffany Stratton will do exactly what Liv Morgan did last year, and that is completely stamp her name in the main event scene moving forward. Whether or not you like Charlotte Flair in this instance, that's opinion. But what she's still capable of doing for other people, that is something that's factual. And that's why I think Charlotte Flair winning the Royal Rumble makes a lot of sense, because no, I don't think there is many heels on the women's roster right now that can do it better. Remember, as I said earlier, Becky Lynch and the Man started with Charlotte Flair. It was 100% highlighted, and it's really took off with Nia Jax, but it started with Charlotte Flair. And on the men's side, we had Jey Uso winning. I can tell you that was a shock of a lot of people. It was either John Cena or CM Punk. That was the consensus from everyone in the building. So when CM Punk eliminated Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, I think a lot of people in that brief time believed CM Punk was winning. Until Logan Paul scooped him over the top rope. Then I could tell you, everyone thought they knew John Cena was winning. Then you had what you had in the finals. And I will tell you, a lot of people were just shocked that Jey Uso was in the finals. Now, you had a lot of people who wanted Jey Uso to win. Trust me, Jey Uso is widely popular. But the reality of John Cena not winning the Royal Rumble in his last Rumble match, people couldn't see past that. So the fact that John Cena was the one who lost and Jey Uso won and had that organic reaction to finding out he won was just amazing. And then capped off with the moment with John Cena in the ring, and then followed by, to this day, the biggest yeet off I've ever seen in my life. It was pretty wild. And yes, I do think this celebration of Jey Uso was bigger than his at WrestleMania 40. It stamped the biggest moment in my eyes of Jey Uso's career, especially when you look at his singles aspect. He has now punched his ticket to a main event spot to WrestleMania. That's what the narrative says. We all know every Royal Rumble winner has a main event at WrestleMania. But let's take this in 2025, when we're always used to seeing what's on the other side. Well, we're always used to one of the best, one of the top guys always winning, one of the established stars winning. We saw the dark horse finally win. And I'm not saying the dark horse was the one we didn't think would win. I'm just saying this is the one where if these big guys, like big name guys, if the CM Punks, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, John Cena, Drew McIntyre, if they didn't win, okay, well, Jey Uso's on the top of the list, but that's a big list when you go down the if not side. So, congratulations to Jey Uso. It was absolutely fantastic. And I am absolutely excited to see what he does. Now, who do I think he will go up against? I do think it's Gunther. However, let me cook here. What if he does choose Cody Rhodes? Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens and that story appears to be over. I do think eventually we'll see Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn for a little bit. Then we'll see Randy Orton versus Kevin Owens at WrestleMania. But what does that leave with Cody? Well, if Jey Uso picks Cody Rhodes goes up against somebody else who he believes is a friend. And right now, anybody who he believes is a friend tends to befriend him. But what if this is a different plot in the Bloodline saga? Remember when Roman Reigns was going up against Jey Uso for the first time? After he was, the head of the table, the tribal chief. And he told Jey Uso he's his right-hand man. He was the next in line. Well, look at Jey Uso now. He's in the position to do the one thing that Roman Reigns has yet to do since coming back, and that is regain that undisputed WWE title. What if WrestleMania 41 isn't the moment for Rock versus Roman? Isn't the moment for Rock to do anything? It's not for Roman to do anything, but it's Jey Uso to do something. What if WrestleMania 31 was destined for Roman Reigns to officially acknowledge Jey Uso as the new tribal chief, as the new head of the table? What if Jey Uso defeats Cody Rhodes for the WWE Undisputed Championship? And we get a very Hamlet-esque type story here. Because just when we all thought it was about Roman Reigns, all we got was this rise of Jey Uso. I think a lot of people forget that in this whole bloodline feud, this bloodline story, yes, we see the obvious, and that was Roman Reigns always champion, always on top, always sitting at the head of the table, always wearing the lafala, always being the tribal chief. But what if the story wasn't meant for Roman Reigns? What if the story was always about Jey Uso, the one who, of all people, actually grew the largest? I don't know. I've heard people say, how is Jey Uso a main event star? Well, why don't you strap the most talked about storyline in WWE for the past how long? And you tie it around him. And you mix that with his insane organic popularity in the last couple years. I think that's a recipe for a main event dish at WrestleMania. Not saying it's going to happen, but I'm just saying, hey, it could. And how do we not have fun with the coulds? Still want to talk about, obviously, the news of WWE Releases. We have a little bit of controversy over what we hear. Because yet again, at the Royal Rumble, the entrance themes were a topic at hand. But before we get to what we can hear, let's talk about what we could see in the future, in the week. So here's a video to show you what you can watch in the week of the Turnbuckle affiliation program of everyone within Turnbuckle Studios and affiliating programs.
Turnbuckle Studios and the Turnbuckle affiliation program bring you the week of streams. All times are in Eastern Time. Monday nights you get the Locker Room Breakdown at 7 p.m., followed by the Raw Patrol at 8 p.m. Tuesday brings you the flagship show, Turnbuckle Talk, at 8:05 p.m. Wednesday we play games with the PlayStation Showcase at 8 p.m. Thursday we got total non-stop action with Brace for Impact at 8 p.m. Friday we game again with Unleashed, the Jessica Wilde story at 7 p.m. Following the game, join us for the SmackDown Security Detail at 8 p.m. The weekend brings you Saturday Night Gaming at 8 p.m. On Sunday be sure to catch the Chris Perish podcast at 12:15 p.m. followed by the Boar's Nest at 8 p.m. Be part of the shows and join the chat every day.
Well, Bobby, thank you so much for saying that. I appreciate that. I very much appreciate you always being here, and always appreciate you always supporting the show, just like you do a lot of the other shows that we just saw on that calendar. But a topic that came out of hand after the Royal Rumble once again, because, well, I mean, we can thank our amazing role model, Bailey, for this one as well. More controversy around Def Rebel came out. Bailey not liking her new music. I mean, it's not a shocker for this is the third or fourth Royal Rumble now in a row where the music has been very questionable in terms of getting that instant reaction, right? I mean, we lived in an era where we got a Glass Shatter, we got a Beldaw, we got a If You Smell, we got a Oh You Didn't Know, we got a You Think You Know Me. We got a lot of iconic first few seconds of an entrance theme song. Now it seems everything is very vanilla, very bland. It doesn't recognize with a lot of people. Now, unless you're people like Randy Orton, The Miz, Cody Rhodes, you're able to get songs that you've either have been using for a while or maybe somewhere else. You've been able to kind of sneak past this rough patch of having a new theme. We've seen AJ Styles get a new theme. It doesn't quite hit. He went back. We've seen Alexa Bliss have a new theme. It wasn't bad. But there's something about that original theme that does hit a little bit more. Sheamus has been absolutely plagued by a theme song that the fans just don't want. Why? Because they want his old one back. Now, I'm not here to say what themes people need to use. However, what I don't get, what I don't really fathom, is that we have a lot of people have all these themes, right? Sometimes we see them go back. Sometimes we don't. But doesn't WWE not ultimately hold the rights of the usage of all these produced music that are by people? Like, if Bobby Roode was to come back, we're still going to hear Glorious. And that's not a Def Rebel, that's a CFO. Kevin Owens still uses his same music that he used with the CFOs. Why can't a lot of other people that had CFO music use it and go back if you had an older theme song that maybe it was like if for CM Punk, if for one night he wants to use the Fire Still Burns, why can't he? So to me, I don't understand why there's so much consistency with the current form of songs. Now, from what I understand, WWE will not renew the contract of Def Rebel. I don't know when that contract does end. I personally would love to see WWE do what they do similar to the music end or the movie end, sorry. They have WWE studios. Now, what about WWE tunes or WWE music? Where you have a program sent spot. Yeah, you can hire people to help write and compose and produce theme songs, but you also allow other musicians, other acts to come in and work, whether alongside or record with you. And for this, ultimately, it's a collaboration. Ultimately, you can have hey, you guys can, an agreement, play the song wherever you want. We can use the song. We can market the song. You can market the song. Maybe there's an agreement on the royalties, but ultimately, I do think the band should own the song. But at the same time, if they're contracted by an employer to make music, then yes, you do. It's very similar to when you hear Downstate play out the Chris Perish podcast, because I ultimately know that they made the music. Now I want them to have all the freedom in the world to put it on iTunes, make money off it. They made it. They did. However, it was a purchase. It was an acquisition that we made. So yes, I do own the song. I have the copyrights to it. So I can't get a copyright strike, YouTube, for this because it's something I do own. They sold it to me. But I still respect the band enough to say, look, if you want to put it in on Spotify, or you want to put it on Apple Play, or you want to maybe play it live or whatever, I'm not going to get upset by it. And I think something along the lines needs to be done that way. And I would love to see something along those lines too, where WWE does the next step on their music end of stuff. As my phone is going off. Gotta always love people just randomly messaging you while you stream. It's great. People are like, why don't you put it on silent? I try to, people. I try to. But at the end of the day, I just want to see some progress. I want to see a performer be able to have completely as much input as they want on their overall presentation. And that definitely includes the entrance song. So if Sheamus doesn't like the song that he has now, change it. Now, what really sucks is I know there's a lot of licensing and a lot of other things that come about this, whether it's video games, whether it's certain shows, or like if you have stuff on a certain platform or whatever, if you change it, do you have to go back and change it? I'm sure there's a lot of legalities and licensing issues that come about this. I'm aware of that, but I'm batting out of my comfort zone on that one. But what I can say is I do think if there's anybody that can go around it, I think WWE can. Now, I would love to see Jim Johnson back, but I don't want to see Jim Johnson run everything like he did, because let's be honest, Jim Johnson is not what he is like he was there. Like, it's a different generational thing. We got to be able to evolve in this aspect. But what I would like to see is Jim Johnson be a part of this movement. I would like to see even the CFOs back. I actually very much enjoyed the CFOs in their music. You know, they brought us amazing themes like Glorious, like Shinsuke Nakamura's theme. Um, I enjoy Kevin Owens' theme. I can't envision Kevin Owens using anything else for the next 5 years because he's an extension with WWE people. But yeah, I mean, Sami Zayn. I mean, he at one point changed his theme song, and we always wish he didn't. So we're at a weird way of what do we do next, or what do we want to see next. I think we just want to see iconic music. We just want to see music dedicated to the performer, not generic music just handed. Now, I talked earlier about Jordan Grace having that same presentation from TNA to WWE, and I don't understand necessarily the legalities or how that came. Maybe they bought it from TNA. I don't know. But what I love is the consistency that we have from Jordan Grace as a TNA wrestler to it being in NXT or WWE, like on Raw or SmackDown. What we're seeing is that overall presentation of when the WWE audience first saw Jordan Grace, that's going to remain. And then if you were somebody that watched her from TNA, you're going to have an easier time adjusting to WWE because you're not going to see much different. You're just going to be able to continue the ride of watching Jordan Grace grow as a performer. It's just going to be in a new place. It's no different from when you see someone you know work at a job, leave the job, go to a new job, and they still get to be who they are at this new job. It's a very much a similar kind of analogy, or like, right? So I don't know. Bobby coming and saying he enjoys Sami Zayn's music, and like that's a thing. We attach people to music. Heck, anytime I go out and I hear a glass breaks, I'm going da da da, right? If you hear a dongo, you're thinking The Undertaker. If you hear certain things that remind you of the music, you definitely. If I hear "Are you ready?" and I'm just like, I got 2 words for you, right? Like it just gets you into that mindset. Entrance music are ways to identify and come together with that performer. Music brings people together. It's very powerful. It's very influential. It's very inspiring. And WWE really needs to change the game for how they do music, in my opinion. It's one area that I think, no matter the product, whether it's, oh, I wish they did more in the women's division, the tag division, or why can't we have more number one contenders? I think they need to put that same focus on the music aspect, because there's a lot of music that are just very weird and very odd. And I'd like to see a little bit more distinction with the music. Let me know in your thoughts, and I'll make this the Spotify post of the week is, do you like? Actually, you know what? I'll say this. I'll put it. Who do you like better? Jim Johnson, CFOs, Def Rebel. That is going to be the Spotify poll of the week. We got word in the last few days, last week or so, of releases. And yes, unfortunately, when you have as many people as WWE, when you invest the time in making new talent like the NIL program, like WWE ID, you do have to make unfortunate and sad decisions, and that decisions came at the expense of, I think it was 10, maybe 11 people. And this past week, mainly from Friday out, but beforehand, and started off finding out that Cedric Alexander has been released. We've seen Giovanni Vinci, Blair Davenport, Isla Dawn. We saw the Good Brothers and Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, Paul Ellering, Razor and Hakeem in AOP. We have seen Duke Hudson, who's also an early one as well. They have all been released. Now, we know Sonya Deville's name is in that, but Sonya Deville has not been released. She has been informed that her contract will not be renewed, very similar to Baron Corbin. And the way I see it, that's not being fired. That's just being thanked for your services. It feels the same. 100%. It feels the same. As Bobby's saying, he likes CFOs. Also, Shane Baszler, go back to your first team, please. Just please. Sadly, this is just the business side of it. I never want to see anybody lose their job, especially people who I want to see more of, like a Blair Davenport and Isla Dawn. Heck, even, and I'll hear you. Had Joe Hendry did more crossover with NXT, I would have loved to see Duke Hudson imitate Joe Hendry. And maybe he can still do that in TNA, but I think there's something there. I've always liked Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, but I completely understand with how much they weren't being really used when they were healthy. I know Carl Anderson is coming back from an injury, but with AJ Styles becoming a babyface again, being on Raw, I just don't think Luke Gallows, Carl Anderson with AJ Styles makes much sense at this point. So sometimes you just have to make those decisions, and I get that. And sometimes the decisions are not so much, we just don't have anything for you. Sometimes it's, like, we might not have anything for you, but we also don't want you just to be in limbo. So take this as an opportunity to go out, get better, and then hopefully, you can prove us wrong, and one day we can work together again. I mean, some people, that works for some people. I mean, just look at Drew McIntyre, Cody Rhodes, as just prime examples of this. Bobby Bonillo coming in saying, I see Duke Hudson going to TNA or MLW, and Cedric Alexander going to TNA, and Blair Davenport to go to Marigold in Japan, and Isla Dawn to go to MLW. I 100% think Cedric Alexander is joining AEW and joining the Hurt Syndicate. The only thing I can see is that Mustafa Ali convinces Cedric to join TNA. I think relationships have a lot to go into decisions. I would love to see Blair Davenport in TNA, or B. Priestley now, as she's going back to her old name. I know with a lot of the females, or not a lot, but Isla Dawn and B. Priestley, Blair Davenport, a lot has to do with whether or not they want to go back overseas and work more international dates over staying in just US, Canada, that area. So that's going to be a big thing. I think Duke Hudson makes a lot of sense in TNA. And but my thing is, if people just go to TNA, why wouldn't WWE just try to make a deal with TNA? They have a working relationship. Why not just send them to TNA? Why don't they just have them work in TNA for the remainder of their contract, and then when it's over, they could just sign there or something like that. So That's the one thing of curiosity that I have, is that I wonder how much went down to like, hey, we're gonna let these people go, but could we find something for them to do maybe in TNA through the partnership that we have or that working agreement? Bobby's asking where I see Giovanni Vinci going. That's a good one. I would like to see. I think he's somebody that I think would go back internationally and work more international dates. I think he would. I think New Japan would do him very well. I think New Japan would do him very well. Yeah. I'm not too sure if the Bullet Club is still a thing in New Japan, but if it is, yeah. Come on now. Just put him in a completely different light than what we're used to. And it would be very similar to the Imperium, but it'd be a little bit more of an aggressive approach, if that's the case. Also, with Cedric Alexander, I mean, the Hurt Syndicate is right there for him. But also, one of his best friends, Ricochet's there. And then, yeah, like I'm very much leaning on AEW for Cedric Alexander. And I think that makes a lot of sense. Not to mention, AEW has the Trios title. So that's something the three of them can go after. Bobby Lashley could honestly just give Cedric Alexander the tag title and then go after the world title. Kind of something that they probably should have done in WWE, especially during that pandemic time. Even when Bobby Lashley was champion, like that made all the sense in the world, to be honest. But yeah, but for a lot of people, 90 days is what we see from them next. I do see a lot of independent dates. Like that's the thing too. Independent wrestling in just the last few years has exploded. It's been fantastic. I've seen crowds for independent shows just, hit record numbers. I've seen independent shows become more prominent. Like I went to an independent show. It was NAP Wrestling in Indianapolis, and just the aura of that show was fantastic. In fact, I may have had a couple of adult beverages beside one Katana Chance and that Caden Carter. But just the energy there, and knowing that, in due time, you're going to see new faces kind of in these places. Like you can sign all these college athletes and all these stars that you want from other sports, but you still are going to have an abundance of independent talent. Like for every Tony D'Angelo, you get Austin Theory. For every Tiffany Stratton, you get a Rhea Ripley. So, I mean, it goes hand in hand. Bobby's saying, yeah, there's still a lot more free agents in wrestling. Absolutely. And that's just the thing. They can't always work in one or two places. They have to be spread out. And I think, too, the more you get to spread out, you're just going to see growth in other companies as well. You're going to see the growth in maybe New Japan. Maybe AEW gets a little bit more of a prominent scene with, its talent. Because, like, also, too, as time goes in, we're not going to see AJ Styles in a wrestling ring for 10 more years, but we will see, most likely, Cedric Alexander, Giovanni Vinci. We might not see some people currently for that much longer, but we'll see some of these people. So, and I think with Paul Ellering, though, like that's something that I don't think affects anybody other than his employment. I don't think that he was somebody that really needed that. I think he was there mainly for the AOP nostalgia. And this allows a lot of current storylines to kind of end. Like, we're going to see Alba Fire back as a singles competitor. We're going to see probably Alba Fire compete for a US or Intercontinental Championship now. And I'm very much liking that. I want to see Alba Fire against Lyra Valkyria for the Intercontinental Championship. I want to see now Karrion Kross and Scarlett go back to what they had beforehand and see if they can transcend to the next level. I want to see now what Zoe Stark and Shayna Baszler could do if they were to go back as a tag team, or if this is more of a let's just use Zoe Stark more. So I don't look at this as all negative. I do see some positive in what's there. Does it suck? And is it unfortunate? Absolutely. And I really hope every single one of these released or contract not renewed talents, I hope they find the next thing and they go full steam with it. And I hope that I'm not saying I wish you the best in your future endeavors, but I do hope that that there's something next for them. And I know there's going to be some of these people on this list that do come back to the WWE. Like, do I think Isla Dawn is not going to find a place? No, I think she's a very intriguing one out of this whole bunch with her and Blair Davenport. In fact, why not have them pair up and attack, maybe go to like TNA and become a knockout tag team? Or, the one thing I'm still waiting for is a female group that rocks the indie scene just like the Bullet Club or other acts. I mean, Bullet Club is kind of the big one that kind of what started from the independent scene, went to, and like the New Japan. That wasn't TNA, it wasn't WWE, it wasn't really AEW. It was outside that, but it was just outside. So I'm waiting for that big all-female group that does it. And I'm wondering, if you do that, are people like Bea Priestley, Blair Davenport, or Isla Dawn, would they be a part of it? I think time will tell. Time will tell, just like patience is a virtue, but sometimes we just got to see what's next. Sometimes we have to wait for what's next. Just like episode 64, we have to wait 1 week for that. But episode 63 is coming to a conclusion. And I just want to take the time to once again thank every single one of you who did choose to spend your time with me on the Chris Perish Podcast, episode 63. For that, I say thank you. For that, I say go Saints. I say have fun if you're watching the Super Bowl. Be safe. Drink responsibly. But be happy. Be healthy. Because at the end of the day, you matter. I'll see you next week, everyone.